David, but you'd have seen the film.
I've seen the film. I want a life story like that. Where have I been going wrong these last 27 years since I was
You need to
born?
get a skedaddle on.
You could get Sloth out the Goonies to play you.
Lovely to have you on board, Austin. Lovely to be sat next to you again.
How great to have him in the Aviva Premiership as well. Don't panic, Pirri's here. And he's 31 today. The Premiership signing that, well, certainly took my breath away most. It was just astonishing and really signalling London Welsh's intent here this season.
Yeah, gotcha, yeah.
Dave Ewers will have another big job to do for the Chiefs this season, but Barkley and Weepu, the hinge for the Welsh. Dean Richards, the referee, Roger Bailiff and Paul Dix, the touch judges. Graham Hughes is in our truck. And for the first time since they went down in painful fashion at the back end of the season before last, London Welsh can call themselves a Premiership team again. And they've got Ollie Barkley to kick them off at the brand new season full of hope.
Tackle only!
Hayden Thomas, scrum half for the Chiefs today. Dave Lewis took a knock in pre-season, so Thomas getting an early go. Matt Jess, familiar face at a time of some change down in the southwest. Weepu.
Offside 11 black.
First touch. Finds Barkley. And Barkley with the boot. But there was offside at that breakdown, and Welsh will have a little bit more time to clear their lines.
Interesting start that, Nick, from the first kick-off. There's none of that early match nerves, just get the ball out or knock it up and get it out. They're actually spreading the ball wide. They're having a crack, the very first play of the season, and that's encouraging. We've sort of seen Exeter put in some great performances, but reasonably regularly lose their way the last season or so, and it's nice to see that actually, you know, the chat they've been having pre-season is, who are we, what are we about, let's have a crack. The early signs, minute one, tell us they could be good to watch this season. Let's wait and see.
Ollie Barkley. 20 scores will be critical if the Exiles are to retain their Premiership status, and Justin Burnell, although he's new to the Premiership, will know all about the importance of having a kicker who can kick his goals, take the opportunities when they come. Now, Tim Molinar might be some signing as well. He really did a job for Harlequins when he was surprisingly let go by Gloucester beginning of last season, or a couple of months into last season. Scott, one of those who was part of the Welsh team that was a Premiership team 2 years ago. And this is big Pete Brown, former Harlequin, who's got Premiership experience also. Barkley threading one through, but Tom May was the closest, and Chiefs will settle for the line-out.
Some nice link play from Barkley, good service from Weepu as you'd expect, but actually got Molinar. He's one of those players I'm always surprised to see leave a club. Why would a club ever let him go? Why did Gloucester or Quins let him go? I thought he was great for both of those sides. He is a huge bit of kit, running very directly as well as Brown. Nice delicate chip from Barkley at the end, a grubber from Barkley. Not a huge net gain, but it's keeping Exeter where London Welsh want them.
Yendall, Chiefs captain in the absence of Dean Mumm today, finding Ryan Caldwell on his debut, moving deeper into the southwest to look for Premiership appearances. And this is Henry Slade, what a young talent he is. Seeing him in midfield at outside centre for the first time today. When he is in midfield, we've got used to seeing him at 12. More likely to have worn the 10 shirt in recent times, but it's Steenson at 10 today. Jess with chip over the defence. Welsh fullback is Seb Jewell.
I just wonder there, Nick, Oz, you've made a decent bit of ground through Slade and Caldwell. Wonder why you need to kick that away.
Well, exactly. You mentioned Slade. Let's take a look at them actually defensively. Very good going forward, but if you've got two young guys like Slade and Hill in the midfield, your first intention is to go to the ball, head at the ball carrier, Molinar, big ball carrier. You want to take the space, and they do that excellently well. But what that leads to is a huge space in the outside 13 channel. That can be utilised later on in the game for London Welsh.
Yendall off the line out, which has been won again by the Chiefs. Thomas finding Chrysanda Burta, taken on by Sam Hill. Two 21-year-olds in a new look midfield for Exeter today. Phil Dolman's injured, Jason Schumark amongst those who've left the club. Steenson finding Slade. That combination between 10 and 13 as it is today, Steenson and Slade will be worth watching.
Off his leg, off his leg.
And Thomas having to put his right shoulder into it to try and win back the ball, but it was lost forward. Welsh will have the scrum.
And it is a young midfield, that. A couple of England under-20s World Cup winners in Slade and Hill, but I do wonder, we know about Slade's talent, we know about his ball playing and kicking ability and his maturity, his game management, but has he got the outright pace? He started beautifully this first 5 minutes at 13, but has he got the outright pace to last a season in that slot and actually flourish in that slot? Bear in mind the blokes he's going to come up against, the people he's going to play against.
Been doing some calculating. Two midfields of different generations, combined age of 68 on one side, combined age of 42 on the other.
Yeah, but Tom May's 54 of that, so not Molinar's fault.
Bind. Set.
Scrum, the first of them. That's a Welsh put in for Piri Weepu. It's not the cleanest, and Exeter have driven over the top. Oh no, they haven't. Welsh have done really well to hold on to a ball that looked for all the world as if it was going against them. Here goes May. Nick Scott, who nabbed the late match winner here against Exeter 2 seasons ago, which was London Welsh's first ever Premiership win. Stationed out on the left again today, they're number 11. Driven on by Ricky Reeves, who was a Wasp last season. This is his first ever Premiership start, however, at the age of 32. And as much as we're talking about a Welsh team that is new to each other, there's lots and lots of Premiership experience, players who know what this level's about.
There's loads of class. We talk about Tom May, Barkley. Weepu doesn't know the Premiership very well, but it's fair to say knows his onions at this stage. But look at Dean Schofield, Thorpe, these guys up front. These guys have been around a long time, played a lot of Premiership games and won a lot of Premiership games. So actually things look nice for London Welsh. When they get the ball in hand and they keep some phases going, they look very fluent. The ball runners look committed, the skill level looks high. It looks slick.
Loose line out. Thomas has to scuttle around to do some tidying under pressure. It doesn't make a great deal of ground, and Welsh will have an attacking go here.
That's you.
One thing I do wonder, Nick, watching Exeter last season, we're looking at Welsh and, OK, we're a few minutes into the season, but they look sharp enough. The ball's coming quickly. His Exeter back row was fabulous last year, but without Skaysbrook in there, I wonder if there's enough nauseating snaffling work going on the floor, how good at their slowing opposition down.
Corey Britton, once of Gloucester, finds Pete Brown. Richard Thorpe has it under his left arm. Now it's taken by Weepu. First real attacking threat, and Barkley was close to getting through, but he was well marshalled, but still opportunities here. This is Lachlan McCaffrey, the Australian who's arrived from Super Rugby over the summer and has been going well in pre-season training. Thorpe again didn't make the impact he would have liked at Leicester. Another opportunity here. This is Scott. Those of us who remember Welsh in the Premiership 2 years ago will know all about Nick Scott, as will those down Bathway.
Take it out, it's cleared.
Held up by McCaffrey. He's beginning to move freely already. Oh, Barkley did really well to get that ball away quickly to May, who held on to it despite the support of Thorpe.
McCaffrey did very well then as well, getting that ball away. Slick hands from Barkley, but great work in the contact from McCaffrey, who was very, very impressive in pre-season.
Oh, this is encouraging. Barkley chips it through for Scott, who gathers. Ball inside, intended for Brown. And that would have been a try, but for the close attendance of Matt Jess.
Yeah, it does really well, Jess. We saw it yesterday with Strettle, getting him in the way of the pass direction. Lovely kick from Barkley, pops up, and look at that hand, saves a certain try.
Looking sharp, Welsh. That's a nice option from Barkley. Nick Scott, very, very quick. Scored tries for fun last year. Of course, he might be facing slightly stiffer opposition this season. Matt Jess, just as important going backwards as it is going forwards. Great defensive work.
Red, taken over.
Piri Weepu, Austin.
Discuss.
Former scrum half, discuss, yeah.
I think so far he looks very good. His passing's been very accurate. He loves the sideways run and picking off a nice little break from Ollie Barkley. My big question is, and it will only come with time, is how long can he last in this game? Surely he can't last 80 minutes if it continues at this pace.
What a character to have involved, though, and he feeds another Welsh scrum. They've been doing a fair share of attacking here. Barkley again finds Scott, who's been lively and busy early on.
Use it.
Weepu once more to Dean Schofield. He knows how to win this Premiership. Here goes Peone Vea, the Tongan. who used to be with Wasps. Barkley finding May. No one in the back line has played more Premiership matches. We're just reinforcing here the kind of experience that Welsh have this season, but that's been lost, and Rimmer has it unexpectedly.
It's on to go wide as well for Exeter.
And they're going
they've
wide.
got the men out there.
Advantage over.
Taken back inside by the Ulsterman Ian Whitten, who's filling on the wing while Jack Knoll makes his way back from the knee injury that kept him out of England's tour over the summer. Here goes Ben White. Enormous season last season, and that was wonderfully done to find Thomas as well.
The whole
Picked
back
up
row
by Caldwell.
That's great stuff from Caldwell and Rimmer in the wide channels. Think how far they've run to get there, having defended for probably double figures straight phases.
Thomas Francis, debutant in the front row for the Chiefs. Part of the move, and a little step from Steenson. It's been all Welsh so far, but in the moment that matters, what a debut, what a start for Thomas Waldron. He's patrolling the Dawlish line these days rather than any East Midlands stretch of railway, and the tank engine, a Chiefs try scorer right at the start of the season.
That's pure quality. Think they turned a skill error, good defence forced a skill error from London Welsh. The whole back row combined in the midfield. Beautiful offloads. Dave Ewers, everyone knows he carries large, everyone knows he carries repeatedly. Beautiful offload to White, to Waldron, got the momentum going. Caldwell, Rimmer kept it going, flew onto that ball. I wondered if Steenson had given that a bit early. Not that there weren't numbers there for Exeter, but that's nicely finished. Steenson making it look so easy. It's a lovely start for Waldron, that in your first game, isn't it?
Well, I know, having had a chat with him, that he and his family are finding the southwest air very much to their liking. It feels a little bit more like New Zealand than Leicester does. A man who only made half a dozen Premiership starts last season for the Tigers, already up and running as a Chief. This for the extra two. Well, they've really been under the buckle for the opening 10 minutes, but they broke out, and Waldron did his job.
Yeah.
I did wonder if Steenson had failed to draw that defender. I think perhaps he thought he was getting caught from behind, but either way, if Waldron had been caught, Slade was there, Sam Hill was there. Exeter flying through in numbers, having been fully under the cosh for a good number of phases. That's impressive stuff, and that'll knock London Welsh. They were doing really nice things. They were looking great. The shape was fantastic until that point, and that just goes to show. You talk about the step up in level, one slip up, one skill error, 90 metres later, you're a try down.
Wait, Six! Wait!
Tim Molinar was the man doing the chasing from the restart, but it was too far for him. McCaffrey
Retire, Seven!
gets them going again. Barkley, another little exploring chip over the top. It was into space rather than anywhere near a red shirt, but it'll be a Chiefs line out. Austin, what have you been looking at?
Well, a try, Nick, but you know, the problem was, as you said, they were so tired. By the time they got back, the space between the defenders was all made bigger because the blind side couldn't work to get inside them. That space is way too big. Any 10 in the league is going to walk through that, or at least stretch it one way and the other. And that's exactly what Stenson did.
Oz, is that about fitness, or is that about organisation, new players playing together?
It's a mixture of the two, I think. Once you're running back and you don't actually know where you are, you have to trust your instinct, and that comes from hours and hours on the training park.
Taken in.
Line out again. One by Caldwell, who's busy on his Chiefs debut. Porter, the Namibian, doubling Namibia's contingent in the Premiership this season. Him and Jacques Berger will be in close proximity at least a couple of times during it.
I bet he doesn't tackle as hard as Jacques Berger, does he? Or at least uses his shoulders and arms instead of his face.
Just get behind him.
Good signing, Porter. I remember seeing him at North Harbour playing for Namibia against South Africa back in the World Cup in 2011, and he's always caught the eye. He offers just a little bit different from fullback this season for Chiefs. He's a big, rangy runner. Maybe not necessarily built like Arscott, but he's got an enormous boot on him as well. And we know exactly what Thomas Waldron can do. Ewers. Ball inside again to Caldwell.
Hands off, Fred!
Thomas. Steenson on the stretch. Did well. This is Sam Hill rocking and rolling his way through the red defence. Yendall taken on once again by Caldwell. They've got some big ball runners, Chiefs, but he's not looking after possession well enough there, and Scott's chasing this, and Slade's the closest back for Exeter. He'll be pressurised by Scott, who has to wait till he gets back to his feet, and Slade bundled into touch.
I can never understand that. When I see a kick put through like that, regardless of how tired you are, there's no point in getting to the ball slower than you possibly can.
Caldwell, it's a powerful carry. That's Oz. That's actually a lovely offload. It's nicely timed, but I think it's almost too sharp for Rimmer. He's almost taking man and ball. You could ask if it's necessary, but they're the little extras, the little offloads that get you that extra half metre, put the defence on the back foot and lead to tries. So it's actually a lovely piece of contact work from Caldwell, but unfortunately he's a prop on the end of it.
That's why you shouldn't touch the ball.
Yeah, you stay away from it. I mean, I managed for 14 years, Oz.
Bit of work for Dean Schofield.
Well, we saw it a lot yesterday as well, didn't we, Nick? Rob Miller's chasing back for the ball. He was at half pace sometimes. And then someone who's chasing after you, if they see you going at half pace, they go up to their full gear, regardless of how tired they are. You've got to get back to that ball quickly, get the ball up off the ground, turn and see what's in front of you. And I think too many players are taking it easy on the chase back.
Discipline, guys. Just stay to 15.
Welsh's new hooker this season, Corey Britton, released by Gloucester last season. 1 or 2 issues towards the end of his spell at Kingsholm, but fresh page here for him. Taken on by another former Gloucester man, Molinar. Over 50 Premiership appearances for him.
Counter ruck's good. It's okay.
Weepu, Barkley to May.
Wait, 8, 7-1. Okay, now.
They like that little kick towards the corner.
Perhaps they're trying to create their own version of a hellfire corner down there. Just in Oxford.
Yeah, thank you.
First sign of Berta's big left boot, relieving some of the pressure. This is Seb Jewell. Introduction to the Premiership when he was at Wasps. There's the number 8, McCaffrey, finds May. Molinar finding Scott, and McCaffrey was there. And the tug on the shirt from Caldwell was well timed. He needed to be careful. And now it's the Chiefs who can come away with it. A little speed from Witten. Tackle coming in from Stegman. Starting to open up a little bit on halfway. Thomas finds Ewers. Got Rimmer should he need him. Ewers does find him. How beautiful was that?
That's the third lovely offload from Ewers. He has added something to his game in the off-season if this first few minutes anything to go by.
But look at the Welsh defensive line, Nick. It's all over the place. It's not straight. It's not coming forward. It just means if you're attacking, Exeter have the opportunity to just keep going forward and forward and forward with the ball.
They look knackered, Oz. They look absolutely knackered. What you said of the Exeter boys.
Yeah,
it's pretty tight. Those first 20 minutes of the season are unpleasant, however much training you've done.
Off red, open play.
I think Ryan Caldwell's got every reason to be exhausted. He tracked back a long, long way to make that last-ditch tackle. Ultimately looked like a try-saver. But Ewers here, this is a lovely offload. Everyone expects him just to carry because that's what we've always seen him do. But 3 times he's taken the ball and offloaded it subtly, accurately. This is a dimension we needed to see added to Dave Ewers' game, and it's come.
The switch started the season from 8 to 6 to accommodate Thomas Waldron. Tom Johnson, by the way, hurt himself in training this week.
Off flag, play on.
We're seeing a different side to Dave Ewers, taken on by Yendall. Luke Cowan-Dickey, by the way, he'll be pressing more this season as a hooker, not fully fit to start his season just yet. Be another busy one for Yendall, and Thomas being pulled back.
You were fine. With the man, the other one.
It's a really nice block by Ben White. If he'd have got away with it, it was really difficult actually for the referee to see because he was almost blindsided as he comes through. Oh, I think it's harsh.
Well, I think he's got there anyway, but he drops the shoulder a little bit. He's got there anyway, but he makes an effort.
Yeah, from that angle, it's more obvious, isn't it? And Weepu will have made some kind of weeping sound to make the referee notice it.
I get it, Weep, I get it. It's good. It's high-end stuff.
The next pun will be about chicken that's spicy. That'll be for his first name.
That was a good spot from Dean Richards.
How many? 6. All right, guys, 5. Just not crowd into, okay? Don't give me the option to stay out.
So annoying when you're the attacking team and the ref waits all that time until you throw it to cancel the line-out, and you've got to go and recall, or do you do the old double bluff and do the same thing again, because the defending team sees where you're moving and sees what you were going to do. So that's what you want to achieve in this part of the field. Or just jump straight up in the air and catch it like that. That's what I would have done.
Finds James down, who's impressed everyone. At Old Deer Park, where the club still trains since joining from Cardiff, and another awkward fall on his back for Nick Scott, but no harm seemingly done. Weepu.
Okay.
May. This is Brown. Oh, Brown somehow pirouetting his way over halfway and then striding up to the 22. He was always looking for support. McCaffrey was first there. Weepu to Barkley. Vea was offering himself. Instead, it's Scott. Lots of options to the right-hand side. And in the end, room just ran out for Sebjol, but that was sharp from Welsh.
That was sharp. Pete Brown, a big old unit, moving very, very quickly. It's not really a hole there. He brushes off Carl Rimmer, brushes off Hayden Thomas as if they're not there. Dave Ewers does very well to make that yardage up and get back for that tackle. This is a lovely pass from Nick Scott. He thought twice about it off his left hand. That's a lovely pass. They just ran out of room. In the end, Witten closed them down. Used the touchline effectively. That's powerful work from Pete Brown. Straight through the middle, nothing fancy.
Okay, red 10, just hold. Same guys, 10 hold, okay?
Thought off the back of the line out. With enormously wide amount of Premiership experience, Richard Thorpe, largely with London Irish. He joined the club last season.
That's your mark.
Now we're 20 minutes in.
Let's not change what we're doing.
Everyone's blowing, their lungs are shocked. This is where scrums, when a bit of fatigue sets in, the scrums can start getting a bit more interesting. I know you guys have been waiting for that the whole off-season.
Crouch! Bind! Set!
Midway through the first half. One try so far, scored by Thomas Waldron. Defensive Chiefs scrum, which has been rolled round 90 degrees and now is an attacking Welsh one.
You see, that's a funny decision for me. If I look at London Welsh, okay, they're not spinning, there's no tight head pulling back, but really you want it from the other side. If we could have seen it, but it's the tight head, he actually is stepping around a bit there, but the loose head here, Ricky Reeves is driving absolutely on the outside. You see the red loose head on this side, absolutely driving outside Tom Francis. That ultimately, see the tight head in there, Vea almost pulling his right hip back and spinning that scrum. For me, that's a pretty clear spinning of the scrum, so I'm not sure I would have gone with that decision as Dean Richards has. I think Exeter can feel aggrieved at that and would look to get back stuck in, I would say, on this one, make amends.
Crouch!
Tony Vea, the Welsh tight head, against Carl Rimmer. Solid Welsh scrum. Barkley with Molinar running onto it. Tackle needed to be a firm one from Hill, and it was.
First man 7.
And there were players bouncing on top of the ball. McCaffrey was amongst them.
7.
Well, we're midway through the first half. London Welsh 20 minutes into their return to the Premiership. Let's get an update. Let's get a report from one of the coaches, Gordon Ross, who not so long ago would have been down there, but is now looking a little bit more serene up in the stands. Gordon, a word about the try first. Any thoughts on the concession of it?
Yeah, very disappointed to get turned over 5 metres from their line. We had a lot of good possession, looked very threatening, and fair play to Exeter. They finished it very well.
What about the way you're attacking them? Ollie Barkley using that chip kick quite a lot. Idea of the kind of tactics you were thinking of coming into the match?
A little bit, yeah. We've watched Exeter the last few weeks and they play with a rush defence, so we felt there was a little bit of space behind. And fortunately, with someone like Ollie Barkley, he's executed very well, and we're getting good yardage from it.
Overall, how have you settled?
We're pleased with some of the attacking stuff up to their 22, but sadly we've been turned over too easily, and we've been found out a little bit there, and fair play to Exeter. So they've scored one try, nearly scored another from it.
Gordon, great to have you back. Thank you very much for your time.
Cheers.
They've got some more defending to do here. Here goes Caldwell, who's been a busy boy on his debut.
He is everywhere.
He backs into it. Yeah, penalty.
Penalty. Taking the space.
This time it's the Chiefs, however, who cough up possession. He played just 45 Premiership minutes for Bath last season over the course of 4 games, Ryan Caldwell, and he's getting perhaps an earlier opportunity than he might have expected in the absence of Damien Welch and Dean Munn, but he really is making the most of it.
He's a fantastic player. There's a bit of blocking there. I don't think that's really Caldwell's fault. I'm not sure it's anybody's fault, to be frank. But also straight over the top of the ball off his feet. But Caldwell had a couple of hip operations. Couldn't get his knees up past about 45 degrees when he was running. Pretty difficult when you're running for a living. So he had both the cartilage in both hips operated on. It takes a long time to get back from that. And by the time you do, you've got the likes of Atwood, Hooper cemented in the team. So a change is good for him. But when he was fit for Bath, when he was playing regularly, he was outstanding. A real player's player type down there. So I think that could be a great buy for Exeter Chiefs.
How many? 5 are in.
Takes his place in this defensive line-out. Britton overthrown, picked up by Ewers.
He is some
really,
specimen, isn't he?
He's making some statement at the start of this season as well. Rimmer taken around his back by Steenson, and Hill as well, staying on his feet and getting the pass away to Thomas. This is wonderful handling, great offloading from the Chiefs in the sunshine.
No hands, Red!
Jess takes a step back, but it is in fact Steenson. And now Waldron. A bit frustrated during his final season at Leicester. Jordan Crane was more often than not the first choice number 8. Waldron used off the bench. Here goes Hill again. Adam Hughes, one of the summer signings from Bristol, not playing today. Hill at 12. Jason Schumark's moved on. This is White. Still going.
Knock on by Black.
The ball has
No advantage, scrum, Red.
squeezed its way back on the red side, the Exiles side.
Advantage over.
Off his left boot, underneath the posts. Clearance from the fullback, Seb Jewell. Austin.
Well, I just want to highlight how much of a disarray the defence is for London Welsh. It is in a complete mess at the minute. It's all over the place. We'll come back to it in a minute because the line-up's going to take place, but they really are completely at 6s and 7s in terms of their defence.
Pull in. Thank you.
You'd say at the moment they're almost getting let off by Exeter's errors.
Red 5, hold!
There is a difference between that and defending well, actually. The opposition letting you off.
Steenson. And Hill again. So many Chiefs players catching the eye at the moment, and Hill at inside centre is one of them.
Gone long.
Here goes Jess. Off his wing, into midfield, looking to create mayhem. Steenson. Sold the dummy. Net result.
Time's
While
off, guys.
there's some great stuff from Hill and others for Exeter, you could actually throw a blanket over Exeter when that whistle went. They're all in one half of the field. They're all actually inside the inside upright. So that actually becomes a lot easier to defend. They would do far better if they got a bit of width and stretch Welsh out a bit, I think.
Well, they were close.
Yeah, I'm here, Dean.
Did they get over? Did somebody ground it?
I'll have a quick look.
First instinct said it was pretty good to me. May tries to get underneath the ball, but I think Waldron's got that down.
Thomas, at the centre of their line, just hold your Red 5 in the line up, please. Keep the gap, yeah, hold the 5 gap, yeah.
Looked good from that last angle.
The question is, has he made the line? Very much like the try last night, right at the end of the game. From that angle, it looks like it's there, doesn't it?
Dean?
Yep.
Yeah, it's fine. You can award the try.
Thank you.
Second try for Thomas Waldron. Second try for the Chiefs. And they are giving a little bit of a lesson in making the most of your opportunities.
Maybe you wouldn't have had Thomas Waldron down as the 4th guy to get a hat-trick this weekend, but he's only 1 away now.
It's been a weekend for the wingers so far.
And he's no winger.
No.
Time's
He's
off.
doing his bit for the number 8 union.
Sam Hill, the last 5 or 10 minutes, has really stepped this up. Beautiful footwork, hugely powerful runner. Lovely offloading game. It's Matt Jess having a go. He was only, white line fever, only going to do one thing, but he made decent ground. A lot of London Welsh guys around that breakdown, but they can't keep Waldron out. Too much momentum in Exeter's favour by then. Big unit like that flying onto a ball at pace.
Well, he might not do it this season, but Gareth Stevenson, match by match, is closing in on Tony Yapp's league record for the club. And there's another couple of points approaching the half-hour mark. Chiefs 14-0.
Yeah, it's tougher London Welsh. I was watching that try again, and the furthest player away from the ball on the pitch was Piriwipu. He was really struggling. It's full 80 metres away from the last two rucks. I don't know whether that's the defensive pattern or someone that's tired.
Well, I think he's a tough, nuggety little bloke. I don't think he's the sort of guy that would stand out wide because he can't tackle. It must be because he's blowing, you'd assume.
Okay.
Clipped away by Slade. To the man who's making some impression in the back row, Lachlan McCaffrey. Jewel chasing this, Borta underneath it. The Namibian does well. Quick work, Welsh there to tie things up for the Chiefs, and they've drawn the penalty.
That was a lovely little drill from London Welsh. That a good accurate kick from Barkley, a nicely timed, no overcommitment from Seb Jewell, nicely timed chase. He hit Borta hard, and there were numbers there. So we've readily passed comment on the fact that London Welsh look a bit tired, but they got the numbers there. Nicely played. Exeter got a long way to go back. That's basic stuff done nicely. Well played, Seb Jewell. Not a huge amount Borta can do under that, really. You catch the ball, you're dead upright, your ribs are exposed. You kind of take the hit and wait for your mates, I think.
It's been 16 months since London Welsh scored any points in the Aviva Premiership. And with a man who was once banging them over for Bath, they have an opportunity to get themselves going again. Well, let's give him that one as a sighter.
Go left. Go left.
He won't be happy with that. Doesn't miss many, Barkley, certainly not from that range.
Different ball. Get behind him, guys.
So what's the answer from London Welsh? What is their answer to this?
One, taking him out.
And penalty going against Carl Rimmer.
Taking the man out. One, taking the jumper out.
He's been penalised for getting there too early and taking out the jumper, but you know, in a sense, he deserves credit for getting there at all. It's you know, usually the props usually bring up the second wave. I never really see why a prop is involved when the ball's coming down from a kick and a kick receipt. They're generally stumpy little fellows. They don't get too high off the ground. So in my opinion, you're far better off hanging 4 or 5 yards back and waiting for the tap downs, or getting right the way past and trying to scoop up opposition tap downs and make a nuisance of yourself. Although that role is normally reserved for the people quicker off the mark, the hookers, the flankers. Really, as a prop, you can afford. That's one of those times you can afford to saunter off your 22 and just wait for those loose balls. No real need for him to get involved there.
Pretty much the same position as the kick 60 seconds previous. Here's Barkley with another go. Well, it didn't sound right from the moment he hit it, Austin.
No, I was watching him in the warm-up, actually. He was slicing, or not slicing, but fading a lot of his kicks. And obviously he's had a long time out of the game here in the Premiership, so it's something he's going to have to work a lot harder on.
Is it like golf? You just turn up some days and you're slicing them, or is it easy to adjust?
I think it's to do with technique. Distribution of weight, which is something, obviously, you need to concentrate a little bit on flats now.
Mine's very evenly distributed. It's everywhere.
Move.
Weepu. Barkley with May accelerating onto the ball. Make a great deal of progress. Such was the strength of the Chiefs' defence. Ewers with the hit. Weepu again. This is Thorpe.
Tackle. There goes you.
Jewell to Stegman. This is decent Chiefs defence at the moment. They are repelling all that's being thrown at them.
It is strong defence, Nick, but I'm not seeing much from London Welsh that isn't too easy to read. It's really a physical challenge rather than a mental one.
Stegman.
Rock.
Tony Vea amongst those helping to release the ball, ultimately for Weepu. Ball lost forward. And they can come away with Yendall sliding over halfway.
One from black, then from red. Scrum red.
Well, that's a let-off for London Welsh. Yes, they retained possession. They made a few yards out wide through Stegman. Some sharp footwork and a nice bit of pace, but ultimately this is one-out runner stuff, and this is not what we saw in the first quarter of an hour. Barkley shipping it onto a runner that's overrun the ball, Corey Britton. It's tough because he doesn't give that. He's looking at obstruction. It's one of those split-second decisions, that reflex decisions almost, that makes it so tough to be in a position like that. Ryan Caldwell does very well to make a few yards, get a nice break, nice offload away.
Ollie Barkley, who's looking after the defence this season. Former Leicester and Quins man shaking his head alongside Justin Burnell.
Ollie Smith. Ollie Barkley's on the field.
Ollie Smith.
Whichever.
I played a lot with Ollie Smith, actually. Great player. Huge amount of natural ability. Another player who's also got that ability is Ollie Barkley. But for me, he's just not taking the ball to the line at the minute. Realistically, as your 10, you want him to go forward. If he goes forward, he doesn't let the defence opposite him come forward as well. But if he goes sideways and distributes the ball like that on an arc, all he does is let the defence come forward and distributes the ball 5-6 metres back. Look, they're not even over the gain line there when the ball at tackle point. They're 5 metres back, and that is a big, big problem. We saw it with James Hook on the other night, Friday night, and we're seeing exactly the same thing. This guy's experienced. He knows he's got to take the ball to the line. But that comes with time in the 10 shirt.
And getting to know the players outside you, I guess, knowing you can give those flat balls and feeling comfortable they'll take them.
That's a change.
Crouch.
Scrum half Will Chudley on for Hayden Thomas.
Set. Red through inside. Angle. Thank you, Roger. 3 in.
That was good scrummaging from Tom Francis and the Exeter pack. You see the ball fed in by Piri Weepu, and no one hooks it. That's not because somebody forgets, because there's so much pressure they can't lift their foot up. So Tony Vea on the tight head has to do it. Takes his foot off the ground, gets popped up, rifled backwards, makes it very, very uncomfortable. Ben White congratulating Tom Francis for very good reason. Put so much pressure on that hooker, he couldn't even lift his foot up to hook the ball. Great stuff.
Yes, cool.
Young fellow Francis, very big, best part of 140 kilos, I'm told. Only 22 years old.
Hearing that Will Chudley's on, by the way, because Hayden Thomas is having himself patched up a blood injury. Meantime, from long distance, the left-footed Henry Slade. Plenty of height, plenty to spare. 4 minutes to half-time. Slade gets himself involved. The Chiefs, 17 points to the good.
Exeter look sharp. They look off turnover ball. They look explosive. They look coordinated, cohesive. The big question now is what do London Welsh do? What do they say at half-time? How do they adjust things? Oz, do you think playing a bit flatter? You think playing a bit flatter to the line is going to change things dramatically for London Welsh, or is there more to it for them than that?
I think in attack they can be slightly better, but defence is where they've got their major issues. Exeter have been efficient, but no more than that. And all they've got to do is run forward, distribute the ball in the midfield. Look at this now. Look at the left side defensively. There's no one there for Welsh. This is a walk-in for Exeter at the minute.
Steenson finds Borta.
And as time goes on, Oz, you know, you look an hour into the game, so 20-25 minutes from now of game time, these guys are going to be exhausted. It's going to be the first game, lungs are going to be burning. It's an unfortunate knock-on from Chudley, but it's a tough one. I think it catches a boot. But how do you, when you're that knackered, how do you adjust your defence on the hoof? Are we looking at a cricket score, or are there adjustments Welsh can make?
I don't think there are. I think, like you said, there's a mixture of guys that don't know each other, a defensive pattern that they're not ready to adopt yet, and then individuals who aren't physically fit. And it's very difficult to criticise Welsh for that, because they got into the league a lot later than everyone else. Their pre-season was a lot shorter. In terms of organisational time, almost minimal, like the Barbarians. So you're bound to have issues that you have to face.
Justin Burnell experiencing the Premiership for the first time. He was a flanker in his playing days, as you may remember, with Cardiff and Pontypridd and Neath. Made his name taking over from David Young at Cardiff when Di Young made the move to the Premiership. And then he replaced Lynn Jones here after relegation. And masterminded London Welsh's trip back to the Aviva Premiership via the Championship last season.
Guys, just to give you an example of what I mean by the defensive disarray, look at the guys moving in different directions. There's a player going to the wide outside, which means that the two bigger guys have to fill space. They're already tired. Then he doesn't just fill in that gap that's outside, he runs even further. So then you get holes that are 10, 15 metres wide, which means as a defensive line, you can't move forward. You've got to stand your ground and move back. And Exeter don't do anything special. They just run with the ball in two hands. They keep running. They make 20, 30, 35 metres each carry. Because players aren't defending from the inside out, you've got to get your guard, your bodyguard, and then your third defender. Then everyone else just has to find a role and get as tight as they can. 5 metre gaps in the Premiership are too big.
Square, guys. Stay straight.
Tony Vea's fit.
Let's not crowd the mark. Don't crowd the mark, guys.
Set to pack down in
crowd it in front. It's been good.
scrum alongside Corey Britton and Ricky Reeves. New look front row, new look second row behind them as well. Schofield and Down, both making their debuts for Welsh today.
We're not crowding it. That's me. That's the middle. No, you're not going onto it.
Wouldn't surprise me if Vea had a sore neck from having to lift his foot up and hook that ball in the last scrum. It can make the amount of pressure that's on him. He's got 2 men on him, remember, being a tight head. It can cause you a lot of problems having to lift and hook yourself.
Heads level this side, please.
Back fives. You've got to hold your balance. Can't push.
That's what you want. You've just had a rub down. You've got a sore neck.
There's your mark. We have a gap, guys. We don't crowd it.
And again. Hold it. Let's go through him. Let's go through him. We want our gap.
Crouch.
Hold her. Squeeze.
Bind. Set.
It's a step or two backwards that the Chiefs forced on Welsh there. May finding Molinar, who has been shackled pretty well.
Don't put him in.
Really struggled to break Exeter's defensive line as much as they've had possession. It's been hard work.
Use it!
This is Thorpe.
Here, gotcha. Stay back, five.
He decides that
hold.
territory is the best option, but that might be going straight out on the full. It is. He had his hands on his head as soon as he kicked it.
No. Guys.
Welsh found themselves in a tough spot then. It's very difficult.
Okay?
Slow ball, right on the touchline. It's a poor kick in the end, under very little pressure, in fact, but very, very easy to Exeter defend that. Very, very difficult to generate any quick ball.
Flicked down off the top by Caldwell. Steenson. Once again, Sam Hill staying on his feet well. He's a little weeble of a centre, isn't he? He's tough to bring down.
Powerful guy. That's probably an offload too many there.
We have time for the scrum.
It's gone so well for him the first 40 minutes.
We're inside. Red ball, forward pass.
He juggles it a bit, but he's so
Okay,
powerful.
gotcha.
He's so hard to put down. The leg drive.
Time.
The offload wasn't really on. The defender had an arm in the way.
They really have got some academy down at Sandy Park. Sam Hill, one of those coming through. Henry Slade, we've seen a lot of. Luke Cowan, Dickey, who'll offer himself as a hooker this season. Before we've even mentioned Jack Knoll, they're really producing some very bright, exciting young players, Austin.
Yeah, been impressed with Hill, actually. Looks very good. Good feet, into traffic, controlling his body. Looking for the offload, always looking for what he's doing next. I was a bit worried about that midfield defensively, but they've really stepped up.
A bit of a shove from the Chiefs as Welsh hook the ball back. They're just holding on to half-time, and they've got there without troubling the scoreboard. It's been Exeter who've dominated that side of things. Thomas Waldron, 2 tries on his debut for the Chiefs, a couple of Steenson conversions. Henry Slade with his penalty. And it all belongs to the West Country at half-time. London Welsh 0, Exeter 17. 9 carries. He's made an impact on his debut, that's for sure. London Welsh have made a change, by the way, at half-time. Justin Bonnell not hanging around. He's changed his hooker. Corey Britton has been replaced by Nathan Vella, Kiwi, who was part of last season's championship campaign. So Vella on, Britton off, and the Chiefs have reversed the bloodman as well. Hayden Thomas is back at scrum half. Will Chudley back on the bench. It's very nicely taken by Seb Stegman. Here Nick Scott contributing 24 tries from the wing in the championship last season. One of Ollie Barkley's jobs will be to try and put those boys in space, and with big cogs like Molinar and May, you can only imagine it'll be time before they get their acts together.
Thanks, Ollie.
Frustrating first 40 minutes back in the Aviva Premiership, however. Here goes Sam Hill, who had a very encouraging first 40. On one occasion there, he was holding on to the ball.
On his feet.
Made nice ground. He does, as Austin said in the first half, he looks well in control of his body, even when in heavy traffic, but then there was too much traffic. He was well tackled, hit the ground quickly, and Ricky Reeves got in over the top. It's a good, powerful hit from James down. No one's running through that, and actually it makes it so difficult. The body positions of those defenders make it so difficult for Exeter to get any effective clear out that by the time they do, ball's gone.
What I'd like to have seen there, though, Nick, was a bit of urgency from Welsh. You had 5 of the Exeter players off their feet. You had another 4 of the guys in the midfield facing the wrong way, and not one player from the Welsh side came and looked like he wanted to take the tempo with the game up a bit. 17 points down. You can either lie down and die, or you can fight for it.
7. Wait, Red. Wait.
Barkley certainly has the experience. Only Charlie Hodgson in the studio. And they do, doubtless watching somewhere, have scored more Premiership points down the years. Lots of expectation on Barkley, not just today, for the rest of the season as well. Slade fires it forward. Jess will chase it for all his worth, but Jewel was there in time.
Good now.
Footed clearance back up into the
Inside.
Chiefs 22.
Retire, Black. Stay there, 12. Come back, Henry.
Steenson fires it away.
Same thing, Red. Keep coming. Keep going.
Footed Nick Scott. And Waldron spinning the ball out on the bounce to Witten. Actually held up by Dean Schofield.
Don't talk to me, just move.
He knows what he's done, I think, Schofield, doesn't he? Not much denial going on, doesn't look too happy with himself.
The man who arrived over the summer from Worcester, experienced over 150 Premiership games. Now they've taken it quickly. Steenson to Witten. He was forcibly driven back by Ricky Reeves. Still Chiefs possession. Mitch Lees, one of the newcomers, providing the link. Lees in 4 today. This time last season he was wearing red. He was a London Welsh player. Either way, he's in the Premiership this season. Steenson, oh, that was beautiful, just beautiful. The line that was taken by Slade, Rimmer was on hand. The referee, Dean Richards, got as close as anyone initially to
16 on his feet.
Making an impression on that break from the Chiefs, but that was sharp.
Brilliant line and well called by Slade. He saw the space early, executed, got through, and then Exeter can feel really hard done by there. The referee made a massive defensive part for Welsh. Look at the line he runs. He tracks the inside, runs at the referee's back, and then he looks for the offload. A nice offload. They just look to recycle, get isolated, and Welsh get over the ball. Lovely piece of play by Exeter, and they're off again now.
Waldron, upended by the new man, Nathan Vella. Steenson whips it out to Ewers. Such was his form last season that he earned himself England's Saxons caps. Said he had to pinch himself wearing the white shirt, the red rose, but such was Ewers' form, it was thoroughly deserved. And well, that back row of the Chiefs, 6, 7 and 8, Ewers, White and Waldron have been busy at the coalface again today.
Red, let's speed it up
They have played well, and Dave Ewers, as we said in the first 40, appears to have really thought about his game over pre-season, really talked about with his coaches about and added an element, added that soft hands element. He's still a blunt instrument when he needs to be. He mustn't forget that. He's a big unit.
There is Ewers, Waldron quickly away. Slade picks it up on the bounce. Jess calling for it. Like a little Peter Pan when he gets going. Flashing tiny feet, taken well by Lees. That wasn't the easiest ball. Chiefs beginning to move with some purpose again, and Ewers. And it is rapidly turning in to the perfect start to this new Aviva Premiership season for the Chiefs.
Well, again, Exeter look very efficient, but they're not doing anything remarkable. They're doing simple things very well, which of course is so much of what the game's about. And we're not saying they're doing anything other than playing very well, but this is not particularly flash. This is poor defence, full stop. Mitch Lees runs a decent line, but he runs at a defensive wall. He's 6'6" or whatever he is. You can't miss him. This is not a killer line. That's a straight up line. The tackle is just missed. Nicely finished by Ewers. Lovely take by Lees. But ultimately, defensively, certainly near your line when adrenaline has to spike, you've got to do better than that. One-off runners can't make breaks like that 10 yards from your arm if you expect to survive in this league.
I know that Coach Rob Baxter has been talking over the course of the summer about tinkering with the principles a little bit of how they play this season, trying to move the game forward. 8th, 5th, 6th and 8th in the last 4 seasons. A sense they need to move on a little bit.
Yep.
As Steenson makes it a 7-point score. And we're seeing signs of what they're trying to do a little bit more here, I think, on this opening day, David.
We are. They're not so much playing a loose game, but they're punishing turnovers, punishing errors. They seem very free to express themselves and offload the ball. And actually, they've got a set piece, which is the line out with Caldwell has just been fantastic. The scrum with Tom Francis has been a revelation so far. They're getting back to that Exeter we know with a powerful set piece that allows them to play the front foot tempo game they like to play.
Welsh need some help, and they've brought on their club captain, Matt Corker. And he's replaced Dean Schofield in the second row, and Chiefs as well have reverted to Will Chudley at scrum half for Hayden Thomas. Here is Chudley. Here's Steenson.
Hold, hold, hold.
In bright early September sunshine into the East Stand.
Line out formed.
Chiefs fresh, of course, from winning their first piece of major silverware last year. 143 years of history. The biggest yet, the LV Cup, when they beat Northampton.
How many? 5.
Lose sight of the fact that they did win something fairly significant last season, but I think everyone at the club and all of us watching just sense that it's time to move it on a little bit, to start to press again for the top 6, maybe even the top 4 long term. Loose line out, but still Welsh possession. Weepu.
Not held.
Taken in by Molinar. This is Veya. And the other Premiership start was for Wasps on the final day last season, that unhealthy walloping at Franklin's Gardens. He's back involved in a different coloured shirt, and that was a decent clearance from the new man guarding Exeter's back door, the Namibian Crisanda Burta.
That's cool.
Again, it's a decent nudge and it's relieved a lot of pressure, but how easy was that for Exeter really to relieve that pressure? They look for a phase or two that something might happen, but actually they hold their positions, they tackle hard.
How many guys?
Caldwell puts a decent hit on Vaya.
5.
London Welsh hand it back to them. They've got to keep hold of that ball, or they're going to let Exeter off again and again.
Get in the middle. Step across. Thank you.
Well, just being told to make sure that he throws this straight down the middle. And he finds another new man, Corker. Brown. Running into Mitch Lees, who was trying to win it back, and it was Lees who did really well. He was down quickly.
On his feet. All right to the ball.
It's a strong defence from Exeter, but again, as we've said repeatedly during this first 50 minutes, London Welsh aren't necessarily asking the questions they should be asking. It's strong defence because you're running into massive guys, one out from the scrum half, so it doesn't take any thinking about. There's no clear thinking to be done. There's no pressure being created. It's just an aerobic physical challenge. So the first tackle's made here on Brown. It's a strong carry, but it's not a difficult tackle for anybody to make because no one's got to move to make it. And instead of stretching out that Exeter defence that's got to work in the heat to get round the far side, the next carry, I'm not sure if we're going to see it or not, we're not, is 1 yard from the breakdown, so it's exactly where the defenders want you.
Mitch Lees had actually agreed his deal to leave Welsh before the playoff final. So he didn't turn his back on one Premiership club for another because at the time Welsh were not. But he's playing against them today, and Richard Thorpe, now a Welsh player, bringing it forward. A mighty hit in midfield by Sam Hill, and he's stolen it as well. And that sums up Sam Hill's afternoon. It sums up the Chiefs' afternoon. It sums up the New Boys' afternoon. Sam Hill and the Chiefs are going home with a full 5-point stash here, make no mistake.
And just look at the energy after they score the try, the whole team are in. That tells you the difference. It tells you a side that's been together for a long time versus a side that hasn't. And that energy has been the whole story of the game, as has Sam Hill. You see him come straight out the line, make a big hit, keeps his shoulder in the tackle, retains the ball, has the wherewithal to go over and score.
And to think before the game, we wondered how this young 21-year-old midfield of Hill and Slade would get on against these two experienced, big, powerful units. They've been superb, haven't they?
It was more to do with size. Slade, Hill and Steenson all together. Not the three biggest guys, but they've worked very, very well as a unit, both in defence and in attack.
And Sam Hill may not be huge, but he's stocky and he's a powerful bit of kit, isn't he? It was a big hit. Lovely strip of the ball. Easy for Steenson.
You just see him keep his shoulder in the tackle there, Nick. Really good technique. You get that with a lot of these young kids now. Have been involved in the England under-20 setup, been well coached. Slade looks like a very talented, gifted player, as does this boy.
Chiefs trying to tighten the screw as well. They've made changes in the front row. Ben Moon is on at loose header. Moray Lowe, the Scottish international, on for his debut.
Hold black.
In place of another debutant, Thomas Francis, who's done his job. Moon on for Rimmer. Chiefs in total control. Stegman.
Straight out.
Put in touch.
Straight out. Take foot, play on.
Okay, play on, play on. Thanks, George.
Knocked off. Knocked on. Then off his feet.
That's a bad decision. That's a clear penalty to London Welsh. I think Slade went for the ball and then lost his feet straight over the top.
Change.
There's Welsh making a change in the front row. And this is Pablo Hen, Argentinian test prop. He's arrived from France over the summer, really caught the eye in training. He's 32 now, he's not a spring chicken. Over 100 games in the top 14, and they need some stabilising here.
Let's go, guys.
And on for Ricky Reeves.
Square, balance and stability. No, it's far side. Up you come.
Lots of new props, David. Lots of new problems.
Yeah.
Tough on the way. I remember, I won't say who, I won't drop him in it, but I remember an eminent England coach saying to me, the first scrum you come off the bench, always drop it, warm your neck up a bit.
Oh, go on, tell us.
I'm not telling you, but his name began with Andy and ended with Robinson. He knows where I live, unfortunately.
Crouch! Bind!
Morilo now on the Chiefs'
Okay,
tight
guys,
head.
it's one this side now, it's pre-engaged that side. Let's have some discipline here, or we start going free kicks.
Especially with two fresh props, actually, doesn't always help, because you've
balance,
got
please. Back five.
two guys who aren't in
Back
their
five.
rhythm.
Don't push him in. Likewise, don't
So they
push
both
him
jockey for position a little bit. And they're both fresher and more explosive than the guy next to them, so the timing can be a bit off. Very complicated, Nick, you can imagine in there.
in. Crouch!
And that's Pablo Hent, who's about to clash ears with Morilo.
Set! Long.
Yes, boys.
Back three. Long. Support your body weight.
Murray Lowe pinged in his first scrum. Never how a prop wants to start proceedings.
Into touch, off to Sarah.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. I'm here with Hayden Thomas. So, Hayden, 5 points in the bag, and they're not asking too many questions of you out there at the moment, are they?
Oh, yeah, it's very tough for them, you know, obviously coming up with first game, and I think we've been very clinical, which has helped us. But it's pretty warm up there, and I think we pushed quite a high tempo.
Yeah, and a quick question maybe, Sam. We saw Sam Hill score your fourth there, and he's working really well with Slade in that centre partnership. They're showing the old guys how it's done.
They are, yeah. To be fair, I think we got some really good young guys, you know, with Henry and Sam, and they're playing really well today. Henry's played really well pre-season. You know, it's great to see.
Here goes.
Thanks, Hayden. Cheers.
Stegman. Barkley.
Black's never on side.
Taken on by Thor.
Advantage offside, penalty.
Penalty coming. Barkley hoping for a little bit more.
Rock!
Welsh looking for a little bit of redemption. Match is long gone. They're building for the long term.
Number 5,
Scott
20 metres
held
from
up.
touch and on the 5 metre line. No, far side, 20 metres from touch and on the 5 metre line. Number 5.
The voice of Paul Dix, touch judge on the far side, picking out Ryan Caldwell.
5 metre line, Dean.
Proper accent that, isn't it, Paul Dix?
5 metre.
Number 5 on the far side.
Whoa.
It came up on the extra bus, I think.
Thanks, Rob. Cool.
So the Wimpole Fun Bus, I think it's called, isn't it? That's what the big cheese has come up on. A little minibus, driven by Tony Rowe. And there's Dixie.
Scoreboard says one thing. Yeah, discipline here, please. Bring him up and down, guys.
Nathan Vella.
Back, step away. Thank you.
Played for Auckland in the ITM Cup. His time back home. He's going to pick out his man here. He's got Brown, and McCaffrey was the chosen option, but
Advantage over.
looking for positives for Welsh this afternoon, but very little has gone right for them so far.
Backwards, backwards.
Seb Stegman, relieved to see the ball go backwards. Here goes Jewell, Seb Jewell. Picked up by McCaffrey. Play for the Waratahs, the Force and the Brumbies. He's still only 24.
Backwards.
Lost by Brown. Needed to be rescued by Vella. Here is McCaffrey again. Looking to find Hen. Slade. Flash of those lime green boots that appear to be all the rage at the moment. Oh, how well has he done? Every time he's had the ball, Sam Hill has suggested that something big's happening, and that was a big tackle. One of those tackles where the likes of Richard Thorpe need to be careful how they bring the man down, but nothing to concern ourselves with overly there as we approach the hour mark. Jewell to Barkley. to go beyond Waldron.
Crossing.
Seb Jewell involved in some crossing. Penalty for the Chiefs.
So they're 15.
Lots of energy, not a great deal of final result. Austin.
Well, just looking at Ollie Barkley again, I mean, the guy's not taking the ball to the line at all. What I mean by that is he needs to be just 3 or 4 metres further forward from his starting position, and when he gets it, all he has to do is accelerate. Look at the gap in front of him. There's a big gap there that he could walk through, or at least threaten. If he threatens, the defenders on the outside can't go forward. Instead, he distributes the ball back, and they end up being 20 metres further back. And he's done that from every single phase of play. There's not been one phase of play I've seen in this game where he's had decent ball, where he's gone to the line and got tackled. That's something that he's personally going to have to look out for next week and the weeks to come. Because it just completely stops your attacking game. Your whole attacking game dies if your fly half moves sideways and backwards.
Let's get rid of the water, guys, please.
But if you're seeing that every single phase and it hasn't been adjusted,
time on penalty.
Does that suggest it's a part of the plan? Is that part of the idea?
It can't be part of the plan.
One of their coaches is an ex-fly half.
Well, no coach in world rugby would encourage their fly half to run backwards and distribute the ball 10 yards deep whilst moving backwards first. It's completely counterintuitive to what everything you tell every young fly half. Run straight. You look at Dan Carter, he gets the ball, he's flat and he goes forward, parallel to the touchline. Defences then in front of him can't move sideways, they can't come forward. And that's how you create space for all your teammates outside you, whether it be a forward or a flying wing.
Yeah, how many we got, guys, in?
There's quite a bit to build on. As Welsh make another change, Tony Vea giving way to Jack Gilding, prop who has a little bit of Premiership game time from his Worcester days, summer arrival from Viadana. He spent a bit of time in Italy. He's making his London Welsh debut. As many as 9 teams set to make their debut for either club today.
Play, penalty advantage.
Chudley. The ball was beautifully taken and well read by Witten. All about the timing, all about the angle, and just a little bit about London Welsh's defence as well, which has been punctured far too easily for their liking or anyone's liking today.
Well, hey, let's be frank about this. It's a decent angle, it's a nice ball, but he has to be hit first up there. This is about yes, a decent line, but missed tackles. There's got to be somebody covering closer to the breakdown than that. Too many guys watching. He's just bumping off defenders. It's tough for Stegman there in that angle. It's not really his tackle. The defence outside the breakdown, next to the breakdown, is not good enough, not organised enough. If Piriwepu sees that gap ahead of him and no one is marking right next to that breakdown, he has to be the guy that steps forward and makes that hit. He sees it a bit late, and once he does see it, he doesn't make the tackle. But really, you want someone on the side of that breakdown staying there and not moving until the threat is gone.
He's filling in on the wing while Jack Knoll makes his way back from the knee injury. Knoll training again, but not quite match ready, making sure that he'll be going back to the deep southwest with a try as well. Chiefs collectively now have 5. And Steenson keeps prodding away at a Welsh wound as well.
And hey, it was a nice finish for me and Witten. It still took some scoring. It was still a clever line. Came off his wing a long way to run that line. Communicated it, went hard. Brushed off 2 tackles. Did well, good power.
First tackle was particularly weak. London Welsh are going to be kicking themselves now, thinking, right, we've bought 2 world-class halfbacks. I want to see world-class performances. At the minute, both Weepu and Ollie Bartley have looked so far off the pace, it's frightening.
More changes. Ollie Steadman, young back rower, on for his Premiership debut ahead of Lachlan McCaffrey. Reece Crane is on as well for Seb Jewell at fullback. And that's the grisly figure of Don Armand, African, who's looking forward to enjoying more game time this season.
Always inside.
Joining the Chiefs show.
Use it.
Chudley.
Time it.
Chase immediately for Arnott, who's only just come on. He's only been on 10 seconds. I think that's a pretty decent way to mark your debut in the Aviva Premiership. Honestly, if it's more than 10 seconds, you can call me a liar. But that is about as stunning a debut as it gets.
Well, it was a fantastic piece of individual skill. The difference between Exeter and London Welsh is when a box kick is called, everyone knows, and the pace of the chase is really top-notch. Chudley puts up a textbook box kick. Look at the chasers. They've got 1, 2, 1 from the inside. 3 guys there. Eyes on the ball, takes the ball off Stegman, and off he goes, and then has the acceleration to get away from the cover. I think he enjoyed it.
Well, we spent the afternoon talking about the golden nuggets that Exeter are unearthing down there off the academy production line. Another England under-20 starlet, Jack Arnott, and there's another name that we can add to the list.
What I like most about that try was the chase he put on that kick. Yes, he's just come on, so you expect him to be fresh. But plenty of subs come on and don't chase that hard. That's basic stuff. Well coached as a young fella. That's a non-negotiable for a winger on a box kick.
Steenson not distracted by the premature Welsh charge. 45-0. Gruesome.
9 and 10.
He chased hard. He didn't go through the motions. He properly competed for the ball. Did Arnott, and he won it. That's great play. That's basic stuff, but it's great play.
That was Gareth Steenson's final act of the match, that conversion. He's been replaced by Kerry Sweeney. Piri Weepu's gone as well. This is Stegman. Ollie Barkley been replaced as well, Austin.
Yeah.
Everyone's been changed.
Off your feet, 18.
Welsh have emptied their bench. Molinar gets the ball away. Big hit from Borta.
Didn't see it, didn't get a good look. Anybody?
Slipped away by Rob Lewis. Welsh scrum half who's on in Weepu's stead. Barkley replaced by Tristan Roberts. Next up for Ollie Barkley and London Welsh, trip to the Rec next Saturday. He'll look forward to that. Molinar tries to get the ball away, loses it forward. Borta, Sweeney, taken on by Chudley. There's still life, there's still so much energy. They've made a lot of changes, Exeter, but it's not affected their shape or their purpose or their ambition. Waldron quickly away. Again, taken on by Hill, who has had a monstrous day. Well, we're going to check, but whether this is a try or not, Welsh are just being eaten alive here.
Well, there's a couple of things to look at. Was he held in the tackle on the floor, and did he not release the ball? And secondly, did he ground it? But one thing's for sure, Nick, he's a star, this kid. Great strength.
Graham?
Yeah, I got you, Dean.
Try yes or no, please.
OK, we'll have a look.
Gets tackled 10 yards out, doesn't he? And you think, what's happened? Oh, it's Matt Jess.
It's Jess, my apologies.
Well, he's a star too.
He is.
He's pretty good.
Played very well.
But he's short of the try line there.
He was confident when he got up. Maybe it was positive affirmation, or maybe he meant it. We don't know.
Oh, that's tough. This is the tackle, isn't it? No, the previous one.
This is the angle. I reckon he gets a bit of paint on there, Oz.
Yeah, possibly. You just
paint on
can't
the
be
tip.
sure, can you?
Let's face it, it's not make or break, but benefit of the doubt to the attackers. I think he gets a bit of paint on that ball. As close as it gets.
Having said that, Nick, Sam Hill is still a great player.
I can't believe he didn't score that, actually.
Oh, well, what was he doing? What was he thinking?
Why wasn't he there?
No. Ridiculous.
We've all got things to work on.
Well, we've got used to the idea that every time somebody barges forward with the ball, it's going to be Sam Hill. Matt Jess got tired of that. He got himself involved.
Dean? Yeah, I think he's short.
Okay, short.
So,
no
yeah,
try.
no.
Sam Hill would have scored it.
Forward.
Oh, poor old Matt Jess. Nobody scored more Premiership tries down the years for the club than him. He typifies the heart and soul of this place, but he's going to have to continue the search for his first try this season. Just short, 45-0 it remains.
I think Sam Hill would really have struggled to score it, Nick, actually, because he's not on the field.
No, he could do it from the bench. Sam could do it from the bench.
What a player.
That was Sam.
Now, the only player who comes out of that sequence with any kind of credit, defenders and maybe Graham Hughes as well for making the right decision.
Certainly none of the commentators came out with any credit, did they?
Black, black, black.
Let's not put that one in the highlights, I suppose.
Far side on the arm. Thank you, Paul.
15 minutes to go.
On the arm.
So Murray Lowe giving another penalty away. Watch his bind on the near side. It's just pulling that arm down. It's on the top of the sleeve. It's not on the side or the back of the shirt. It's on the top of the sleeve. And even if he's not pulling it down, it looks bad. It's not what the ref wants to see. You even get the opportunity to put your bind in the right place now, so there's no excuse. Not a great start for Murray Lowe in his Exeter career.
Picked off the top by Matt Corker.
We're outside.
It is beginning to feel like an increasingly long afternoon for London Welsh in their return to the Premiership.
Outside 9. We were
Takes it to
outside.
ground.
Use it!
Cleared away by Lewis. Picked up by Chudley and was shuffled into touch.
The only thing, perhaps, Nick, that dilutes the result today in Exeter's terms is the quality of the opposition. It's now becoming a cricket score. There's every chance it will pass 50, maybe even get towards 60. And there have been some great performances here today from Exeter, but they almost don't count because they're part of an absolute thrashing. But we've seen a couple of young guys in particular play really, really well. So, and it bodes very well if Exeter are looking to ratchet up a bit this year.
Chiefs, by the way, have Leicester at the new look Sandy Park next weekend. We'll be there with them for that one. Here goes Whitton again, chasing the ball for all he's worth. They're not happy with 6 tries. They want a 7th. Things stay the same. This will be London Welsh's record defeat in the Premiership, outstripping the 43 defeat at the Stoop in their first season, September 2012.
Do you think there may be 14 players that were released from their contracts watching this with a wry smile on their faces?
Don't be so cynical, Austin.
Well, you just, there's so much to be said for team spirit. The guys that got you here, give them a shot. Why release 14 of them and buy in 25? It just doesn't make sense. You have to start again. Regardless of what names you bring in, you still have to start again.
Still moving forward.
That one by James Down, one of those new faces. 6 players in the pack making their debuts today. Of the starting 8, 6 weren't around last season. That's an indication of the scale of the changes that Welsh have undertook over the summer. Waldron still going strong. Bota into space. These are the kind of areas that he loves. Times the pass and he's got the try, but he doesn't even need to bother. Crisander Bota joins the party. He's a scorer on his debut. Chiefs up to 7 and they've got the half century.
Well, it was so simple, wasn't it? Ball came down the middle. Thomas Waldron waited for the defence to come to him, distributed the ball to the outside, and Bota had the pace and a nice bit of guile to go over. As you can see, look, Waldron could just move sideways across the field. A nice pass, and he just straightens and runs straight. Sells the dummy now. Stegman buys it, goes through under the posts. Easy rugby, well executed by Exeter. It's been the story all afternoon against a defence that barely know each other.
It really does seem that way, doesn't it, Oz? That it should never be that easy to make a break through the middle. And once he's through, the scramble defence doesn't really offer much in the way of a speed bump. It's going to be a tough Monday morning for these Welsh boys, I think, in the video room.
Henry Slade with the extra 2 points. The two new boys linking up. Waldron to Borta.
It's going to be a difficult one for the coaches on Monday. Do they get them in and say, right, guys, we need to do some fitness? But I think they need to do fitness and teamwork at the same time. They need to work first and foremost defensively, sort out their defensive organisation, then talk about their desire from individuals and players to get back in that defensive line.
So, Dean, at the last scrum,
once they've done that, they can start again. They didn't look too bad in the first 20 minutes when they were attacking. But overall, if you're conceding this many of easy breaks, your energy levels are going to go through the floor regardless of how fit you are.
Well, not that London Welsh will want to look that far ahead just yet, but we will. This is what we're up to next weekend, Friday night at the Stoop. Harlequins against Saracens. And then next to Leicester, that's the Saturday game.
Steve, head.
Thomas Waldron up against his old mates. And then Wasps against Northampton. Wasps against George North and co, who were all right on Friday night.
They did okay, didn't they? Decent first hit out.
Time on. Scrum, knock on red.
No, not been too many bits of concerning news to worry the Chiefs so far, but maybe the departure of Thomas Waldron might be one of them, and because they've emptied the bench, Ben White coming back on. He deserves his applause for the new paintwork this season, but the tank engine doing his job now down in the southwest. Slade. Elvis Tyone. Tongan hooker with an eye this season on making their World Cup squad. Tonga actually play one of their games at Sandy Park, so that's something to aim for. Brian Caldwell has had a day to remember. Murray Lowe.
Off you go. No arms.
The tackle from Pablo Hen is going to signal the end of his match, you would have thought.
You don't see this penalised often enough, I don't think. It's a no-arm tackle, but it doesn't look like one because it's not a big upper body hit, but it's called a chop tackle. And a lot of the Argentinian guys do it very well, but they do wrap the arms. That is a dive at the kneecaps, and that's the sort of thing, if your studs are planted in the ground, which, well, they might be on a stickier day, your knees going backwards, you've got 20 stone flying at your kneecap or your shins like that. That is an absolute leg breaker. For me, those dive tackles at someone's shins are rugby's equivalent of football's two-footer. They've got to be outlawed. You've got to hit people at a reasonable height with your arms wrapped. Luckily, he gets his legs out of the way, but that's lethal. You can't do it.
How many? 6. In first, please.
Next scrum, Welsh are going to have to do some reorganising with an Argentinian on the bench now for the next 10 minutes, and that ought to see us out for the rest of the match.
Taken out.
52 points down and a man down for the last 10 minutes, just what you want.
Tough old league, isn't it?
Man in front.
Plenty to think about. Gordon Ross and Ollie Smith around the coach, head coach Justin Burnell.
Line's yours, guys.
Vela. Ball plucked out of the air well by Down. One of the players that Welsh will pin their hopes on over the course of the remaining 21 regular season games. Roberts trying to get the ball away. Tristan Roberts, debut after joining from Bristol this summer.
Move!
So many new players, so much to learn, so little time to do it. Corker.
How you go for?
Lewis, taken on by Thorpe. Falls over the 22. Lewis once again. Looking for Roberts. This is Molinar. Once again by Corker. Is there to be a slither of consolation as we near the end of this match? It's just looking to spend a little bit of time on the ball. It's been lost forward. Chiefs in no mood to take the simple option of the scrum. Borter fires it forward. Jack Arnott was chasing, bounces into touch.
Yeah, but much better from London Welsh. You saw them around the breakdown being a lot more direct. First receiver going to the line before passing the ball, looking for a nice little easy offload to the outside. Once you do that, the line speed of Exeter gets nullified. They can't come forward at you. Far more encouraging for the Welsh guys. But then a little turnover and you're back 50 yards near your line.
Really
that's a killer blow.
Maintain the gap. How many guys? How many got? 5? 5. Just stay 2.
It's meant for Down, who did slap it in the general direction of the red shirts.
Off your feet, 13.
Taken on by Roberts. Haven't quite made it in 3 seasons at Gloucester. This is his first taste of the Premiership via Bristol, but it's being given away, and this is Tyone on his debut, striding towards the line. Oh, and now did Jess manage to get hold of that? No, we've already decided that we're going to have the scrum, so Jess once again denied by a matter of centimetres.
Lovely break this.
Yes.
You felt like you needed to take the old handbrake off a bit there, didn't you? He's a big man, you couldn't quite get that pass away. It's tough when you find yourself in those open spaces as a big old lump. It's a new world out there.
Now, as a result of the yellow card that Pablo Hen is serving, they're going to have to make a change in the front row. So Ricky Reeves is coming back onto the pitch. Richard Thorpe is giving way to make sure that we've got a full complement in the front row. Seems an opportune time to find out who your Aviva Premiership man of the match is, David.
I think predictably it is an Exeter Chiefs player. Unpredictably it's not Sam Hill. I think he was fantastic. I think Thomas Waldron also had a huge impact on the game. A couple of tries, played really well, great debut. Ryan Caldwell for me in the second row. He's made himself an option time and time again. So many aggressive involvements in the game. His stats will be sensational come Monday morning. A massive debut for him, realising some of the potential that Bath missed out in the last couple of years through injury. A great performance.
He and Mitch Lees have made sure that Chiefs haven't missed Welch and Mumm at least this afternoon.
Not 10.
2 players who aren't far away from getting themselves involved this season. Taken quickly by Stedman. One of those former England under-20 players who was coming through the system at the same time as the likes of Ford and Wade and Vunipola.
You can't play the ball, you're ground.
Testing himself in the Premiership now, Ollie Stedman. Into the final 5 minutes. Ball lost forward.
You're in front, 22, get
Molinar.
Advantage over.
Tackled forcibly. And Stegman a little warily, just happy to fire the ball anywhere.
Yeah.
Of course, the last thing you want is to lose in your first game back in the Prem, but what you really, you don't want to finish the game with 0 on the clock, with 0 on the point scoreboard. They'll be desperate, but they just don't look like they've got the energy to go the 80 metres it's going to take to score a try.
How many black?
As things stand, Welsh heading towards their record Premiership defeat. Chiefs heading towards their record Premiership win. And they're looking fit, they're looking fresh as well. It helps when you're leading by 52 points, I guess, but they're still going strong in the final few minutes. There goes Arnott. He had that breathtaking start to his Premiership debut. And the Chiefs looking eager, looking hungry for an 8th try.
No, get off.
So close to it. Picked up by Moon.
Hands off, Red.
No, leave it, get it back.
It's not the easiest line in the world to see from here, but from close range, Chiefs can see it, but it was close enough for Dean Richards to see that that was a double movement. Tyone back on his feet.
Yeah, I was concerned about Exeter this year. I wasn't sure how they'd perform. I thought they really could struggle. But on evidence of today, the young players that they've brought in, the academy guys, the England under 20s, they look like they're really ready to step up. And that is a club that has planned and developed well. They've got the new stadium, new young players. That was probably wrong, to be fair. But like you said, you can't gauge too much from this game. What we do know is London Welsh have got a fight on their hands every week for the rest of the year.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing the new shiny Sandy Park. We'll go down next week. They spent millions expanding the West Stand. They built a brand new East Stand. Laid a new Desso pitch as well. Lots to look forward to on and off the pitch for them this season. Welsh looking for something from this match as Crane is dragged down just short of the 22.
Is that a ruck?
Tomei is battling on manfully here, but he looks like he's got some kind of cramp or perhaps a strain, but he's determined to stay on to the end. Here he is. Finds Molinar. They will hope, and we can assume that they will have easier Premiership weekends as the season wears on. Whether it gets an easier away to Bath next Saturday or away to Sale in a fortnight remains to be seen. But they're looking for tries here, looking for their first of the new season. Rob Lewis hauled down just short. It's as close as they've been all match, as likely as they've looked all match. Crane held up. Into the final minute. Final 30 seconds. They're lining up on the left-hand side. Scott, who scored all those tries in the Championship last season, was at the forefront of all the hard work to get them back to the top level. This is Corker, who was central to that effort as well. They're nearly there. Collected by Reeves, keeps it going. The determination to get the score will be matched by the determination not to concede anything. Chiefs defensively will cherish the nil at the moment. We're into the final few seconds. Ben White's been yellow carded. So it's 14 against 14 as this match reaches its conclusion. Tackle from Sweeney. He'll be thrilled after the long wait to be involved in the Premiership. Finally for Exeter. Chip over the top by Roberts, but it was read by Arnott.
No, not in the air, not when he's landed.
And with time up, that signals the end of London Welsh and Justin Bonnell's first taste of the Premiership this season. Chiefs' biggest ever win in the league.